have parts of Northern California in which economies are completely dependent on marijuana. Isn't that on your shoulders as DEA?
I will enforce the law. I will go after the biggest and the baddest. But blaming DEA for a marijuana-based economy, I would say that is not correct.
Well, who else is going to control this?
It's the people who have voted for the legalization of marijuana. Under federal law, illegal. Under state, it's legal. But as far as blaming DEA for a narco-based economy, I think that's not a correct assumption.
I hate to say it, but Mendocino County is the true epitome of 2008's Wild Wild West.
Station 36 and 13 units to clear that location.
Just how wild it is can be felt in a new crime wave that's hit this region.
Mr. Hopkins, your next witness, sir.
More and more thieves are targeting homes believed to contain pot.
This is a Browning Arms 9mm semi-automatic pistol.
This defendant, Renato Hughes, was convicted of assault and burglary. Hughes, along with 2 accomplices, invaded a home to steal marijuana.
911 emergency reporting.
Please help me. The guy's got a gun.
This is the 911 call from a terrified mother.
We need an ambulance. Okay, they slammed my son's head in with the bat.
Next, gunshots. The homeowner shoots and kills Hughes's 2 accomplices. The marijuana trade has grown so large that even the environment is paying a price. This is industrial pollution from illegal pot production.
They were pumping out a lot of marijuana bud.
Jim Harrison, the county's environmental health officer, and Sheriff Tom Allman toured the damage left by a massive indoor marijuana grow.
Doesn't
think he was making $1 million a year?
Easy.
Easy.
I was thinking more like 5 or 6.
Wow.
This is what it looked like months earlier when it was raided. Authorities discovered 2 industrial-sized generators worth $500,000. They were used to power 4 rooms, just like this one, all filled with marijuana. Harrison says that it will cost as much as $50,000 to clean up the mess.
The pollution from the generators and the diesel fuel that they use and the herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, those are all bad. Almost every grow that I go to, there's a diesel spill or a waste oil spill.
The people who make their living in the pot trade can be found all over Mendocino County. These men who wanted to keep their identity secret may not fit your idea of drug dealers. Their backgrounds include journalism, politics, and law enforcement. Between them, they share 75 years of pot-growing experience and feel strongly that critics of the marijuana industry are just blowing smoke.
It's not considered disruptive to the community. It's actually more of a benefit to the community, and people all know this, and that's why it's not considered a serious crime here.
This grower says marijuana helped him dig out of a subprime mortgage disaster.
I knew something of the business previously, and I felt that this was the best way for us to survive at this time.
What would happen if the crop just disappeared overnight? What would happen to this economy?
Well, there would be a lot of foreclosures. The same thing if Apple closed their plant in San Jose.
There would be a lot of businesses closed too, because they wouldn't have any customers anymore.
Yeah, the economy would crash. It would tank.
As the marijuana boom continues, so does the split in this community between those who grow and those who don't.
I'm very much a part of my community, and I'm as much a law-abiding citizen as anybody. Just because you get a traffic ticket and have broken a law, does that make you a criminal?
In June of 2008, voters put Mendocino's marijuana laws back in line with the rest of the state, lowering the legal number of plants that can be grown to 6. But that has by no means settled the fate of the county's major cash crop.
I know particular families that have come to this community who have been so successful. They now own 3 or 4 homes and have brought in other relatives from Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Utah to partake in this gold rush.
It's a family business.
It's a family business and everybody's making money.
While some are rushing into Mendocino, others say enough is enough. Joy Tucker says she simply couldn't wait any longer.
We truly believe that it's different here.
And so we are willing to move and completely uproot our entire family.
Coming up.
I think this is some of the best medicine out right now. It's real good. It's damn good.
In hundreds of storefronts around California, marijuana has gone legit, and business has never been sweeter.
We have caramels, candies, pies,
brownies, peanut butter, chocolate chip, chocolates, truffles.
That's next, when Marijuana Inc. Inside America's Pot Industry returns. We now return to Marijuana Inc. Inside America's Pot Industry.
These are actually mother plants that have been cut on to produce little cuttings.
Before a packed classroom, Joey Araneta is teaching a most unusual course.
The advantage is that you can have something vegging already in another space.
And if the curriculum is unusual, so is his job description.
I am a medical marijuana instructor or professor.
Welcome to Marijuana 101.
Parts per million is at 40. That's very low.
Not just a single class, but an entire school, Oaksterdam University, devoted to pot.
Vaporizing is one of the best ways to take cannabis.
Students in Oakland, California pay $250 for weekend courses showing them how to grow marijuana, harvest it, and most importantly, how to avoid getting arrested in the process.
That basically gets us through federal law.
I had never even in my life seen a marijuana plant growing. That was my very first time I've ever seen one.
Given her background, Lori Strand might seem like the last person you'd expect to find here.
I have a husband who is a contractor. I'm a real estate agent, and we have a Dalmatian. I mean, we're just a very normal. In fact, my husband is at the swim meet right now with my 3 boys because I'm here at class.
It's thousands of people like Lori Strand, seemingly normal in every way, who inspired the Showtime hit Weeds. The central character, Nancy Botwin, is a busy suburban mom with 2 young boys who grows pot to help support her family. A page that could be ripped right out of Strand's life.
I'm not going to start growing and selling today. I mean, that's not going to happen, but I can see that perhaps in the future that could be my new calling.
Oakland was the first city to issue permits for cannabis.
And Strand's marijuana class is just one small part of a local culture centered on marijuana.
This particular part of Oakland is known as Oaksterdam, the name borrowed from Amsterdam, the most pot-friendly city in the world, where marijuana is completely legal. Now, that's not the case here in Oakland, but you know what? You'd be forgiven for thinking it was.
This used to be the big shopping district.
We met up with Richard Lee, the founder of Oaksterdam University and an out-in-the-open pot entrepreneur. He hopes to revitalize this struggling area of Oakland through an increasingly legitimate marijuana trade.
You spent a lot of time in Amsterdam. Is that really your model? Is that your template for what you would love to see happen here?
Exactly, yes. When you go to Amsterdam, you see that it's just tourism and jobs, and it fits in with the rest of the economy.
Your goal is to show that it can be done safely, but at the same time, you're making money at it.
Right. If we believe in earning an honest living.
California is leading a growing movement toward an increasing permissiveness when it comes to marijuana. 11 states have decriminalized first-time possession. Here, there are hundreds of places where you can walk into a store and buy pot. All it takes is a doctor's recommendation, remarkably easy to come by, which entitles you to a medical marijuana card. Under state law, you can then possess up to 8 ounces of pot, or about 160 marijuana cigarettes.
This is the second dispensary you opened that we're heading to right now.
Exactly.
Lee owns the local marijuana dispensary, also known as the Blue Sky Cafe.
Are kids allowed in?
In the front. That's part of our service. They can come in, get a smoothie or some cereal and milk, and we'll look after them while the patient goes in the back.
Walk to the back of the shop and you'll find a formalized, even sophisticated buying process.
Kendall, this is Trish Regan from CNBC.
Nice to meet you. So you're the bartender, right?
Bud tender.
Bud tender.
Lee showed us the dispensary's marijuana menu, which contains samples of the 4 varieties of pot that are sold here at any one time.
This is different than these. What's different about them?
Red and white wine, different flavors
different.
of wine. Yeah. These are samples that you can pull out, open that up and smell it.
It's pretty strong.
And then see if you can smell the difference between that and this. No? Yeah, a
I
little
think that one
different.
smells a little better.
Yeah, see?
There's not only marijuana to smoke.
That comes from one particular farm, and that farm will always package it like that?
Exactly.
But to eat as well.
Ranging from 5 to 25, depending on what you like. We have caramels, candies, pies,
Brownies, peanut butter, chocolate chip, chocolates, truffles, and then olive oil and salad dressing oil
My
up here.
goodness. Wow, it's like a grocery store back here. Okay, what is this?
This is our plant catalog.
Lee also sells marijuana plants.
These are our starter plants for people to grow their own.
And this is the nursery where Lee's pot gardeners tend to the plants. These employees receive medical benefits as part of their paychecks. Even the state of California has its hand in the marijuana till.
It's 44 bucks.
Sending letters to the dispensaries reminding them of their obligation to pay tax on all the pot sold. In 2006, the state collected more than $11 million in sales tax revenue.
How much money do you pay in sales tax to the state of California every year?
$300,000.
$300,000. And what do you pay in federal income tax?
About double that. About $500,000, $600,000.
So the government's making money off you too.
Definitely.
And yet his entire enterprise comes with considerable risk. Possessing marijuana may be legal under California state law, but it is completely illegal under federal statute.
Half-eighth the mid-grade.
And the more you sell,
Any edibles or hash or anything?
the greater the chances of being busted by the DEA, which Richard Lee knows all too well.
How often do you get the marijuana in? Every week, every month?
Every week.
How much do you order on any given week?
Yeah, that's kind of getting into little sensitive areas as far as trying to give exact numbers on that.
Why?
I'm not sure I feel comfortable with that.
Why?
It's just kind of goes into the area of taunting the DEA. It's a matter of having a little respect for your opposition.
Coming up.
We knew that there was marijuana coming in. We knew it was on the street. We knew somebody was bringing it in. We had no idea who it was or where it was.
A marijuana mystery. He was one of the biggest drug smugglers in American history. But for years, no one knew his name.
And give me an idea of how much money was coming in to your marijuana smuggling operation every year.
About 50 million.
That's next, when Marijuana Inc. Inside America's Pot Industry returns. We now return to Marijuana Inc. Inside America's Pot Industry.
Once upon a time, before the marijuana trade became a homegrown enterprise and the American pot business exploded in Northern California's Emerald Triangle, huge amounts of the drug were smuggled into this country from overseas. These well-financed, sophisticated operations were not only illegal and dangerous, they were immensely profitable. This is the remarkable story of one of those smugglers. Bruce Perlowin was a nice Jewish boy from Florida who became nothing less than the West Coast marijuana kingpin.
At a certain point, I wanted to be a big marijuana smuggler, and I wanted to bring in as much marijuana as I could possibly bring in.
Perlowin did just that, creating and running one of the biggest drug smuggling operations of all time.
We saw ourselves as modern-day pirates, modern-day swashbucklers.
What about the fact that it's illegal?
I'm an outlaw, or I was an outlaw.
That outlaw ran his massive drug conspiracy from right here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Perlowin smuggled more than 300,000 pounds worth of marijuana into the U.S. The street value on those drugs approached $1 billion, and most of his pot slipped right underneath one of America's most famous landmarks, the Golden Gate Bridge.
Give me an idea of how much money was coming in to your marijuana smuggling operations every year.
About 50 million.
Perlowin's massive operation provides a vivid snapshot of the marijuana business during a bygone era. It was the 1970s and 80s. Raiders of the Lost Ark was the big movie. The San Francisco 49ers were well on their way to establishing a football dynasty, and Bruce Perlowin was smuggling hundreds of tons of marijuana right under the noses of federal authorities. Perlowin recruited a small navy, hiring boat captains and their fishing vessels from the nearby fleet anchored at the Northern California town of Moss Landing.